Давам думата на моя приятел и колега, професор Бойко Рангелов.
My friend and colleague, Professor Бойко Рангелов.
So when we discussed the topic of my presentation with Professor Filipov, we agreed that my presentation will be focused for the wide public, not for the specialists, which are among us very well educated people. So this is a short remind of the world ancient artifacts and the relation with the esoteric knowledge, and some analogs with the Bulgarian similar esoteric ancient artifacts related to esoteric knowledge. But I'll try just to remind some of them. Then some Bulgarian illustrations, and finally some perspective areas in Bulgaria where such artifacts can be expected to be found in the near future. So this is a very famous Astrolabia artifact found in the Antikythera island in Greece, and its reconstruction which shows that the ancient people knows pretty well how to manage the mechanical mechanisms to use them for very practical purposes, because up to now we have heard a lot of theoretical things, but it's visible that the practical applications, because usually the orthodox science says, please give us real archaeological artifacts, and then we can believe this. But there are a lot of such artifacts. If I'm going to discuss each artifact, probably you can read a book for each of them, or sometimes 2 books or more. The next one is the Phaistos disc. You can see the original of this disc. Just 2 weeks ago, I'm back from Crete Islands, where these discus have been found, and which contains a knowledge which is up to now not, the code is not broken, so nobody knows what is written on this disc, and this is the unique one, because they are not similar in other civilizations, ancient civilizations. This is much more clear visualization of what this disc had on its both sides. We are trying to do some research of our part, but I will not bore you with our findings on this Phaistos discovery and how to break its code. Some days, yesterday, Professor Filipov showed you much more detailed pictures on Nazca's aerodrome, and pictures of it on the huge areas in Nazca area. Some technological artifacts, because what is really interesting and amazing is that ancient people had a lot of knowledge about high technologies which are more or less found now in our days. This is the so-called Piri Reis map, which shows the coastline of ancient Antarctica, and it was created somewhere around 15th century, which is not possible to think that somebody has time to make such map in its original. So from where this knowledge is coming, it's up to now not very clear. The next is the Baghdad battery, the electrical device which produces electricity, and this aerojet which yesterday Professor Filipov also showed to all of us and discussed a little bit more. And going to do some development in this, of course, the crystal skulls are very, very famous ancient artifacts, which has no the technology explanation how they have been cut it and polished them. So this needs really high technology to do such things, and the time where they are dating shows that it's almost impossible during the people who were living that time to produce such things. Of course, these stone bowls, which are very famous also in South America. Of course, here we have to mention the calendars, the Atsetsk, which were very famous during some years ago, according to their broken code that the end of the world is coming, etc. The Catalan calendar, another one, which is also not very well disclosed what it contains. It's not really described in details. Of course, the Celtic crosses, which on the left side you have seen have been used for some astronomical calculations and definitions of star positions, etc. All these things show us that the people who have been created them knows much more than we know today about this. And finally, I'm going to discuss something about the Voynich manuscript. It is kept now in Yale University Bibliothèque library, which also contains a lot of descriptions which are not written. Nobody knows what it's shown, why. Even some erotic elements are inside on the right side. I think, yeah, here is a little bit zoomed picture about this. And nobody knows why these pictures have been created and what the text is containing, like content itself. Now, I'm sure we can discuss much more and have to spend a lot of time to discuss all these world famous artifacts. I'm going to Bulgaria and some close neighborhood which also contains a lot of similar artifacts which also need and wait for their explanation. On first place, these are the Rhodops Mountains, famous mountain which contain a lot of ancient artifacts which are not very well disclosed, and nobody knows exactly what does it mean. On first place, these are so-called trapezoid niches. You see these holes which are everywhere in the rocks, especially in the eastern part of the mountain. This is the profile of their in depth. In the middle part, this is the profile of their form, of their shape inside. So you can imagine that it's very difficult to make such profile with such form, trapezoid form, just cutting the rock. It's very difficult to keep this shape with the exact position, and technically it also needs some special technology to do this. Then the megaliths, which are very famous for the Rhodope mountain. Also, somebody says that the megaliths are something like lighthouses, attracting the people, esoteric people, or I mean extraterrestrial people to be focused on these places. So such things are very much distributed in Rhodope mountains. Then the rock sanctuaries, so-called rock vagina, which is a famous creature in the Rhodope mountain, and it's easy to visit the place. Not very much, but if you like, it's easy to visit it. And nobody knows why. I don't believe in the simple explanation that they keep attention to the godmother and do this just to remind it. It's not a good explanation for me at all. So, sorry. These are some pictures as well from the Rhodopian mountains, and in the middle part a lot of niches. On the right part you can see a rock which is for sure preceded by people, by ancient people who lived there. Usually they dated these creatures in about between 4th and 2nd millennium BC, and there are many similar artifacts there. Finally, I'd like to tell something about the giant skeletons found in many places in the world, in Romania, Siberia, United States, India, especially South America. You may see the scale. The people who are just these skeletons have sizes like 8 to 10 meters. What about were there, and why we found in Varna vicinity such skeletons, but nobody knows a lot of about this, because usually all these discovered artifacts have been covered again, tried to escape from the orthodox science, because the explanation is not so easy. You have to change a lot the scientific paradigms to explain the existence of such things. This picture appears to me yesterday. A guy sent me, my friend, which he believes this is just near Varna. Evsinograd. People who are from Bulgaria know pretty well Evsinograd Cape, and this picture has been taken in 1903 and shows very clear UFO in the sky, and it's believed that this is the first one documented in the world. So we're going to the technologies which have been discovered near Varna about 4,500 years ago. This is so-called Varna gold. Everybody from Bulgaria knows about this, but our colleagues from outside maybe have to be made familiar with this, because this is really the oldest proceded gold in the world, with a very ancient origin and very precise craft formation and shape done by the ancient people. To produce such things you need really a very high technology to implement in this. The same thing is related to this Dabene treasure, which have been discovered approximately at the same time, and it consists of more than 20,000 artifacts, small beds. You have seen a lot of them, and this knife, which is the biggest part of this treasure, which is also from gold. And what is curious here is that these small rings have a diameter of about, the smallest of them, of about 1.5 millimeters, and the hole is about 1 millimeter. So you have about 0.5 millimeters pretty well polished surfaces of these artifacts, which is not easy to reach even with the present day technologies. The next treasure is about the same, and it is still in the same precision made. And I'm much more interested of other type of treasures. These are gold treasures, which have been accepted like expression of high technologies. But several texts have been discovered in Bulgaria, and they are still not, their code is still not broken, so nobody knows what is written there. These are the first proto-letters found in the human history. These are Karanovo stamp and the Gradeshnica plate, both of them, you see them, with the same age as I mentioned about the gold times. Next is the Situvo inscription and the artifacts discovered near Situvo, which are related to about 6,000 years before Christ. So nobody still broke the code and know this. By the way, on the right side, you may see in the upper part, in the lower part, profile, they believe, of a woman called Mother God. So, what are the locations of the artifacts on the territory of Bulgaria? I mean the artifacts which have not yet clear explanation and how and why they appeared at these places. So these are the up to now shown artifacts. And what I have to focus in my last slide or something around that is that the future expectations to find such unusual artifacts are located in South Rhodops, around Perperikon. Utrovac was the vagina which I've shown in the previous slides. The southwest Bulgaria as well, where very old ancient artifacts have been discovered as well. And on the southeast Bulgaria, so-called Mishkova Niva, which is a place which is pretty well preserved because this huge city have been located on the border, and it was pretty well preserved by the border guards, and there are no people who can dig there freely. So this area is really very perspective to find some non-expecting artifacts there. Here are some pictures for our colleagues from abroad. Perperikon, which means the largest ancient complex, and I told you I have big expectations there to find new things. By the way, the area of Perperikon is much larger than the Knossos Palace, where I have been 2 weeks ago. So there are some pictures. All this hill, which is in the backside, on the background, are full of ancient ruins, full of them. This is only maybe 100th part discovered up to now by the scientists. And this is some pictures from this Mishkova Niva I told you about, southeast of Bulgaria, with the very ancient, very similar to the huge megaliths in other countries discovered areas. And everywhere around here there is also a funeral camera, if I'm correct. I'm not an archaeologist, but anyway. So the huge area, maybe more than 100 decars, are everywhere ancient ruins. You can see them going to this area. More of these expectations of me and the specialists here are also related to that part. Thank you.
Мисля, че неговия материал показа, когато ми се задават много въпроси, има ли доказателство и нещо свързано в България с това, за което ние се занимаваме?
Many times I'm asked whether there is evidence in Bulgaria related to what we are involved in, and I think that the material presented gives evidence.
Искам да ви кажа, че това е едно от многото материали, които той подготвя и което искам да ви кажа, че това е фантастично доказателство, че ние в България трябва да започнем сериозни изследвания.
These were some of the numerous materials he's preparing, and I think that this is enough reason for us to start working on this area more actively.
Ако имате някакви въпроси, някакви изказвания.
Само да се изкажа, нямам въпрос, искам да благодаря за брилянтната презентация, да вмъкна нещо за Чарлз Хепкок и Алберт Айнщайн във връзка с картата на адмирал Пири Рейс. Началото на 50-те години Чарлз Хепкут.
Бихте ли спряли, за да преведат?
Да.
I thank you for the brilliant presentation. I just want to make a short supplement about Charles Hapton and Albert Einstein.
Чарлз Хепкут.
Okay.
Във връзка с картата на адмирал Пири Рейс
In relation to Admiral Piri Reis's map
and the theory of теорията на Чарлз Хепкут
and Charles Hapgood's theory on
за изместването на полюсите,
shifting of the poles,
която е подкрепена от Алберт Айнщайн преди смъртта.
which was supported by Albert Einstein before his death.
Благодаря, това исках само
Thank
да
you.
кажа.
That was the supplement.
Do you think it's possible that the trapezoidal openings on the rocks and the concave, is it possible these could be reflective surfaces to beam the sun's light to a particular area as the sun moves around?
Мислите ли, че трапецовидните отвори, както и тези въднатини, са всъщност отразяващи форми, свързани с слънчевите лъчи?
Well, I think much more that they probably have reflected some other kinds of energy than solar energy, because they're positioned in very different faces of the rocks everywhere there. And we have some research about this, and our conclusion, even I'm not very convinced that I have to be the final decision, that because this area is full of gold and gemstones, so probably there are signs to the people who are searching such deposits how to follow the way probably to find them. But this is just a hypothesis.
Не, мисля, че по-скоро те отразяват друг вид енергия и тъй като точно в тези области има много злато и скъпоценни камъни, те всъщност са водещи за тези, които ги търсят, за да могат да се ориентират.
Благодаря.